class. And what is the interface? Can anyone tell what is the interface? Why, like we have first we have abstract class, then we have interfaces. Hello. What are the interfaces?
Interface achieve multiple inheritance.
We use interface to achieve the multiple inheritance, but what are the interface? Interface is a blueprint of a class that contains method declaration, which implementing class must define, or we can say a rules set of rules we have created for the classes. We create a set of rule for the classes, so those classes must have those methods, correct? Or we can say interface is a blueprint of a class that contains method declarations which implementing class must define, correct? So that was our interface. And what happened, like I have a question. When we are running our program, correct? So sometimes what will happen, some errors can occur or our program can crash. When our program can crash, when there is some anomaly in our code, or we have we doesn't have handled some cases like there is invalid password, but we haven't handled it. So what will happen? It will crash. If we write like there is a data type of int and we are sending some other data type from user, and from the user it is getting float. When we are filling the form on the website, what will happen? We requires only int variables in our form, but what will happen when an user comes and write the float variables there? What will happen? It will Our program will crash. Why?
Yes.
Because it is expecting int only, and Java is sensitive language for the if we have a integer variable defined, so it will a static type language. Our Java is a static type language, so it will require int only, but user is returning float values, so it will give us an error or our data will be lost, right? So to handle these things, what we can do, we have some properties inside our Java to handle these conditions. So
Yes, sir.
if I share my screen, there is a very good example for it. If I write a new package here, day 30, and save it. For now, we have created a day 13, and inside it, PS name, static void name, and inside it, what we can do, we can write a number int a equal to 0, correct? Or we can say int a equal to 10, int b equal to 0. Then I will try something like this: a divided by b. What will be the output here? If I try a equal to 10 and b equal to 0, if I try a divided by b, what will be the output for it? My screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Exception. Yes, sir.
So
Exception I cannot divide by 0.
it will show us an exception, cannot divide by 0. Why? because like in our Java, if we try to divide, it doesn't have infinity, correct? So if we try to divide a variable or number with 0, it will show us arithmetic exception, which is divide by 0. Like divide by 0 is not allowed and our program will crash. What will happen if I write something like this here? Divided. So will this line will be printed in our program or not?
No, sir.
If we try to run this, our program will crash, correct?
Yes, sir.
If we try to run this program, what will happen? It will be crashing in this line, seventh number, line number 7, correct? So this line never be reached in our program. But what is the condition? Like imagine you are withdrawing money from an ATM, correct? You insert a card, enter the pin, and withdraw money. But what will happen if wrong pin is entered or no cash in the ATM? If you have entered a pin, you have entered the pin inside your ATM, and pin was correct, everything is correct, but cash is not there in the ATM, and it has deducted your money from your account. What will happen? We lost our money, correct?
It-
So there will be something like some handlings we have to do to like we can say to prevent these conditions. To prevent these conditions, what we have to do? We have to handle these exceptions or these errors, uh, or these are the exceptions. There are two things. First is exception, other is error. Error will be like if you have write the wrong syntax, so we got the wrong error in our code. But exceptions are something that we can handle properly in our program. So this is not an error, but this is an exception which can crash our program. So what is the exception? An exception is an unexpected event that occurs during program execution and interrupts the normal flow of the program. So when, or we can say these are the some runtime errors, we can say exceptions are runtime error. It cannot, like we have written 0 here, we have divided a by b, but uh, we are not getting any error here. But when we try to run this, what we are getting? We are getting an exception here. So this is the exception, or we can say an exception is an unexpected event. This is an unexpected event. We are not expecting like it will show us an exception and our program will be crashed, correct? So these are the unexpected event that occurs during program execution and interrupt the normal flow of our program. So it interrupted our normal flow of our program. So this line will never be reached in this program. This line will never be reached. Or what will, like if we are taking in input from the user, if we are trying to take the input from user, correct? So we don't know what he will enter for the value of a and b. If we are using a scanner class here and trying to take the input from the user, we we cannot predict that what the user will entering here, what the value they will enter, correct? They can enter 0, they can enter minus as well. So there can be some exceptions occurring in our program. So these are the some unexpected event which can occur during our runtime. So without exception handling, what we got arithmetic exception divided by 0. Now how we can handle these conditions? How we can
Yes, sir.
handle these conditions?
Exception handling using exception handling.
Right. Yes.
Exception handling, correct? So here what we can do? It is an unexpected event that occurs during program execution, or it interrupts normal flow of our program. Correct? So what is exception? Exception is an unexpected event that occurs during program execution and interrupts normal flow of our program. So how we can handle these conditions? We have exception handling. Correct? To manage these, what we can do? We use exception handling, and it is like it is a exception handling. But what we can do to handle these conditions? What we can do?
We can use try and catch blocks.
We can use try and catch block. So we have a special block named as try and catch, which can be used to handle these conditions. Or we can say, here we are writing it like this: try, and inside it we will put our risky condition, because this is our risky condition here. Correct? So, or we can directly write here, we know there we can get arithmetic exception, and e, here what we can write? Correct? We can write it like this. Now if we try to run this program, what will happen? Our program run as usual, as normally, but this exception is handled by this catch method. We catch this arithmetic exception here, and we have printed our custom output like cannot divide by 0, and our next line will be executed normally. Correct? So when we have handled our exception, what will happen? Our program will not crash mid running runtime. Correct? So when we have handled our program, our exception will not occur there. So there is like, this is the one type of exception we have learned here. So we have like there is exception hierarchy for us. Like there is object in our Java. We have exception. Exception has some hierarchy. We can say we have a object. In Java we have object. Under this object, what we have? Under this object, we have a throwable class. Throwable. What is this throwable? It is a class which contains two things. One is error. It contains error and exception. Correct? So errors are, what are the errors? Can anyone uh, can anyone tell what is the error we can get in Java? Syntax error first. Second one is if
Logical error.
we have an error, so what we can have? Syntax error. Syntax error. Other one is stack overflow error. If we run our program in a loop, infinite loop, what will happen? After some time, it will show us a stack overflow error, and our program will be exited. Correct? What? We have out of memory error.
हाँ कैश में खर्च कर सकता हूँ
We have out of memory error, and we have correct. These are the some errors we have, and exceptions. How some types of exception we can get in our program. First is arithmetic exception we have seen.
That's out of bounds.
index out of bound. Other one is null pointer exception. Null pointer exception, IO exception. So these are the some kind of exception we will get in our Java program regularly. So we have to handle these conditions. So when we try to run our program, these will not occur in any condition. Correct? So we put like here we know when we are trying to divide any number from another number, and these numbers are coming from the user side. So what we have to check, like we can expect that our program will throw arithmetic exception when condition will be met, like 0, b will be 0. If b became 0, we have to handle this. Correct? So we have put it our risky code inside our try catch method. So what try will do, here, it will run our correct code. If our code is correct, it will run it. If any error occurred inside this, or we can say if any exception occurred inside this, so it will send it to the catch method. But we are, if like there will be some IO exception occurred inside this try method, what will happen? If this try block have some arithmetic instead of arithmetic exception, index out of bound exception occurred, null pointer exception occurred, IO exception occurred, will it be handled inside it or not? Currently
We
it
have
will
to
handle
just
it or not?
mention exception.
If I write something int array, correct, equal to 1 comma 2 comma, and I will try to access, what will happen? Will this line will be executed or not? Line number 18, will this program execute this line or not? If I try to run this, what we are getting? Index 5 out of bounds for length 3. Correct? We are getting array index out of bound exception. We are getting array index out of bound exception. Correct? But why it is not cached in our cache method? Why we haven't cached this? Why this program is not catching our arithmetic exception, other than arithmetic exception? Because we have defined it here, like we have defined our catch program will only accept arithmetic exception. Other than these exception, it will ignore it. Correct? So our program will crash. So to handle it, what we have to do? We have to write a catch method. We can write multiple catch. With one try block, we can have multiple catch. There, currently what we have done, we have written the only single catch. Correct? But we can have multiple catches inside one for the one try block. So here what we can do, we can simply write in array index of bound exception e. We can write something like this: index is greater than length of array, and if we try to run it, it will work, and it has printed this line. Correct? It has catches this array. Like what we are doing here, we have a try block, we are running our code inside our try block. When some error or some exception is occurred inside try block, what it will do, it will throw it to the catch. So first catch will be there for the arithmetic exception, so it will try to catch if it is an arithmetic exception. But if it is not an arithmetic exception, what it will do, it will bounce it. It will go to the next catch. So there our arithmetic, after the arithmetic exception, we have array index of bound exception, and it catches the exception if it is an array index out of bound exception. So here our array index out of bound exception occurred. So what it is done, it is printed our line number 22. Correct? That's why we got the index is greater than length of array, and after that this line will be executed as normally without exiting our code. So is it clear? We can write one try block and we can have multiple catch block as well. And what we can have, there is one thing as well, finally. What is the finally block?
Finally, always execute. Error or
Finally
not.
always execute. If we write so, if we got any error inside this try catch block, or uh, if try is run fully without any error, it will work. Or there is any error inside it, it will also run this block. This block will be, we can say, finally block always executes whether exception occur or not. We can directly write it will executes whether exception occurs or not. So if our program have some exception inside it, if our try block gets some exception, then it will run. If it doesn't have any exception, then also it will run. So it will execute whether exception occurs or not. Correct? So that's how we can handle our exception inside our Java program. So if we run it, divide and it, correct? This line will be run as usual. If we remove this, if we try to remove it, what will happen? If we remove it, cannot divide by 0. We got cannot divide by 0 here. If we remove this method as this as well, there we got 5, correct? We got 5 here, and divide ended divided. So this line is executed every time whether this have any exception or not, correct? So that's how our finally block works. And after that, what we have? We have throw keyword. We have one thing named as throw keyword. What is this? What is the throw keyword? How we can use it?
Self exception throw.
So using throw keyword, we can throw exception by ourselves. Like when we have created a bank program, correct? We have created a bank program, and we have written like we have a balance there. Float amount. We can say amount. Correct? We are creating an ATM. Like when we go to ATM and we enter amount more than 10,000, what it will show? Amount is like limit for one transaction is 10,000. Correct? If we wrote, we try to guess the amount more than 10,000, what it will show? It will show us your ATM will have limit of 10,000, and you cannot uh, in case more than 10,000 in one transaction. So to handle it, what we can do? If we like write it like this, if amount equal to 13,000, and if we can write it, if amount is greater than 10,000, what we can do? We can write throw. We can write throw. What we can do? arithmetic exception.
Arithmetic exception.
Why it is giving us error? Because we haven't initialized it. We have to initialize it through new arithmetic exception. If amount is greater than 10,000, we can throw new arithmetic exception which is limit exceeded. Or for now, what we can do, 10,000, 13,000 and 4,000. And for now, we will remove it for amount inside our array, and we will write it here. So what will happen? If our amount is greater than 10,000, it will throw new arithmetic exception limit exceeded. And here we will, if we remove this try catch finally, if we remove this try catch finally, we have removed this try catch and finally, correct? We have removed our try catch and finally we are throwing some exception which is thrown by us. So it is a self thrown exception. It is a self thrown exception. We can say it is a self thrown exception. We are trying to throw this exception. What will happen if we amount will become greater than 10,000? It will show us limit exceeded. Now what is happening here? We are not catching anywhere it is. So it is directly showing us, or we can say this is exception which we have created here. We have created an arithmetic exception, or we can say custom exception for us. So when our amount is greater than 10,000, we are throwing it. So using throw keyword, we can create or throw our exceptions. Now, if we have to handle it, what we have to do? We simply enable our catch or
Finally.
after that we have to enable our try as well. And here what we can do? This is an arithmetic exception and we are not, we can directly print E here. We can print directly E, correct? So if we try to run it, what we got? Java.lang arithmetic exception limit exceeded.
Excellent.
We have get message here as well here. So if we write e.get message, what we will got? Limit exceeded only. If we are not writing e.get message, it is showing us arithmetic exception arithmetic exception limit exceeded, correct? So here we can directly print our message as well using e.get message method. So we have created an custom exception here, and we have throw it using throw keyword. So and there is one keyword as well. There is another keyword named as throws keyword. We have throws keyword. What it will do? How we can use throws keyword?
To throw multiple exceptions together.
Declare the method.
We can directly use it inside our methods, correct? To throw the exception. If something like if we try to create public, not here, we will create it here, public static void read file, and we will create a we will use throws IO exception here, and we will write it like this. So that's how we will use throws keyword to handle the exception. So what is the throws exception? Throws IO exception is doing when we try to read any file inside our this function, it will check if any exception occurred, it will throws using this keyword, it will handle it using this, or we can say it declares exception. Throws keyword declares exception, like this function can have this exception. So whenever we call this read file function, we have to handle this exception, or we can say we are declaring that this method can throw this exception. Like if we are already declaring that this method will throws IO exception, so we have to handle it when we use our read file method. So whenever if we try to use this read file method, we have to handle it. If we try to write it like this, what it is showing us, unhandled exception java.io.io exception. So what we have to do, we have to add exception to method signature. If we write it like this here, so this is not correct way, because this is our main method, so we cannot directly write it here. What we have to do, we have to handle it using try catch as well. If we have to write it like this, if we handle it catch IO exception e, error has been gone from here. So we are declaring that if someone call this method, we have to handle this exception, correct? We are declaring here, we are telling our Java that if someone call this method, so they have to handle IO exception. If they don't handle this IO exception, it will give us an exception at the runtime. It will show us an exception at the runtime. So these are the something we can use to declare the exception. Throws keyword is used to declare the exception, and throw keyword is used to throw the exception. Like what we can say, uh, we can directly throw the exception here using throw keyword. There is some arithmetic exception we are passing some message inside our arithmetic exception, and we are throwing it to our catch block. If any amount is greater than 10,000, we will get this error, correct? So throw is used to throw exception, and throws used to declare the exception. We can write collect. If it is true, we will write collect your amount. Otherwise, what will happen? It will show us limit exceeded. So we run this program, collect your amount 10,000 and limit exceeded, because we are directly throwing our exception here. And how we can create custom exceptions? How to create a custom exception? We can create custom exception in Java. How we can create? To create this exception, what we can do? We can write a class like age exception and extends. We have learned the inheritance already. We know about the inheritance. We can inherit exception class. What it is? Or we can say we can inherit exception class, runtime exception. We can inherit any class of the exception. If we want to create an arithmetic exception, we can directly inherit it. Correct. So for now, I am inheriting exception class, and inside it, what we can do, public age exception, inside it string message, and so what it will do, how we can use it, we have created an exception named as age exception. We can write it like custom exception. We have created an custom exception, and how we can use this exception in our program. To use it, what we can do, if age is less than 18, we will throw here, we will declare our age equal to 17, and here throw new age exception, inside it not eligible. Correct. We can write it, but why we are getting error, because we haven't handled it. So we have to write it inside our try catch. If we write it inside our try catch, age exception is throw we will write it like this. So, or instead of throwing it, what we can do, we can simply okay, so we will throw it. What it is showing, it is showing not eligible two times. Why? Because first it is throwing directly from here, and after that it is accepts catching it inside our uh, catch method, and it is throwing it again. So how to handle this, how to handle this exception, how we can handle it, or we can directly throw new exception, age exception we are getting here, and we can directly write e dot get message. So we will get here message, and our program will run as it is. So there is no exception now. Why? Because we are not throwing it anymore. Correct. So our try block have throws our age exception, and inside catch we are accepting it. So why we have to create like this exception, why we have to create age exception or some custom exception, why need it, why we need it, like why we need age exception, or we why we need to create an custom exception. Can anyone tell why we need custom exceptions?
To understand better which type of exception is offered.
No, custom exceptions are required to handle the reoccurring conditions. Like in our program, see, we need to handle the age exception everywhere. Correct. Like there is a program, and we need to check if user is for the user age. So what we can do, we can create an exception, age exception, whenever any user occurs with less than age 18. So what it will show, it will show us it can be any age, but we don't have to write this again and again. So it will create, or it will increase readability of our code, it will increase modularity of our code. So we are handling age exception from here only. But this kind of exception, now we have a custom exception, or we can say we have a uh, some exception which is only dedicated to for the checking the age. Correct. We have created an exception to checking the age. So whenever any issue occurred with the age, we will directly call this exception. Correct. So it will differentiate from the, or it will be easy to handle these kind of exception using age exception. So we are not writing directly arithmetic exception for same everything. Like there is multiple things. So if we when you read this line, what you get to understand? Without read, there is only 4 line of code, correct? But there can be multiple lines of code in the real code. There can be 1,000 lines of code, or there can be hundreds of lines of code. So you got directly, you have seen this catch exception, and here you show age exception, rather than some like exception like arithmetic exception, or directly we have written the exception. If we have written the exception here, if we written the exception here, what will happen? What you get to understand with this line of code only? Can you understand anything? If
That
you have to,
we get an exception, but what kind? We don't.
what kind of exception we are getting, we cannot define it from here, correct? If we directly try to read this line, this catch block, what we will get? We will get there is an exception occurred, but what kind of exception is occurring inside our program, we will not know, correct? So if we write it something meaningful here like age exception, we will know that some error occurred because of user age, correct? We will directly know that some error is occurred because of user age. So we will directly check the age code. We will try to debug our age code directly, correct? In our program, we will try to check the age code. If we are not defining our code like, or we are not making it readable for humans, it will cause problem for the programmers. When they have to debug the program or they have to read the program, they will not get any idea of it. So to increase the readability, we use custom exceptions. Checking this exception, we know some exception will be occur in this program, which can be age exception, correct? So there can be multiple exceptions. We have null pointer exception, or we can directly write program for the ATM simulation we can create, or we can create a login authentication. Inside login authentication, which kind of exception we can have? If we create a program for login authentication, what kind of exception we can get?
Not right access the password.
Password, we can say password length, or some conditions we can add for the password when we are trying to create a new password. Or we can check invalid credential. We can check for invalid credentials as well when user try to log in. And there can be multiple kinds of authentication. Password required, correct?
Yes, sir.
We can have multiple conditions. We can password is required, email is required to log in, or email is not valid, enter valid email, or we can have like user not exist. So there can be multiple kinds of exceptions we can have inside our login authentication as well. So this is for exception. And inside exception, we have like, we have throw keyword. We can directly throw our exception, and the throws keyword is used to declare the exception. If we have created a read file function, and inside read file we can declare our exception that this function can throws an exception. So we have to handle it whenever we use this function, correct? Whenever we use read file, we have to define the, or we have to handle the exception there. Similarly, we have a normal exception we can handle by, we can write multiple catch inside one try block, and we can have finally block which will be executed whether exception occurs or not. After that, what we have? We have a We can create custom exceptions as well, right? So if I create a new class, why we need file handling as well in our program? This was the
Read write.
we have learned about the exception here. Now we will try to learn about the file handling. What is the file first?
In which we store data.
In which we can store data, correct? So we can have multiple files. If we try to inside our Java, it works like a notebook. What is notebook? Like we can write notes, we can read note, we can update notes, and we can delete note. So that's how we can Java file work exactly like notebook. So what we can have, we have file class, we have create file, we can read file, we can write file, we can append data inside our file, we can delete our file, or there is some thing like file reader file writer we can use. We have buffer reader as well, buffered writer, we will know about it. We have a scanner as well to take input from user. So inside our Java we have a class name as file, which is used to, we have file class which is used to handle the file in our Java. To do the file handling in our Java, we need file class. So from where we can get this file class? We can import it from java.io.file. We have a class name as file inside our java.io. What we mean with io? What is io?
Input and
Output. So what is input output? Input when we provide any input to our laptop or our machine, and output is which is returned by our machine, correct? So output can be like file data, or we can say console terminal. Inside our terminal we got some output. So these are the some output. And for to take the input, what we use? A scanner. Currently what we can use? A scanner to take the input from user. To take input from user, what we use? Scanner right now. But we can also take input inside our file as well. We can also write inside our file. So using this file class, if we go deep inside this file class, what we have? The file system object representing the platform's local file system. So we have file system. Why it is taking this file system here? What is the file system? It is taking the platform's local file system, correct? So like there is there is some uh, there are multiple types of file system in available in different OS. In Windows there is NTFE. uh, so I think this is NTFE, and in some program like Windows Linux they have FAT. So there are multiple kind of file systems. I don't remember the name of file system, like, but they have different kinds of file system which in which they use to store our data, correct? So using this method, what it is doing, it is getting our default file system which is used by our OS. So we have string path. What is the path? A normalized path name. String uses the default name separator character and does not contain any duplicate or redundant separators. So these are the some rules for our path. This abstract path name, normalized path name string. We have path status, and we have multiple things inside our file class. So to use it, what we can do? We can create a file equal to new file. Inside what we can write a file name.
Text.
So we can write it like this: student.txt. And now what we can do, we can try to check. Wait a minute. Decided what we will try to write: file dot
Here.
exists. And here what we can do, we will write it here and try to check it. If we try file equal to new file, we have created a new file here, and inside it what we will check, if this file is exist or not. If we try to run this program, what will happen? False. Why?
False. File is not created.
File is not created. It is what it is doing, it is created an object, or we can say it is created an logical file, but physically it doesn't exist in our
Not
computer.
exist.
Correct. So it is showing us false. Why it is showing false? Because we haven't created this file. We just created an object of student.txt. We can write it, we can write in, if we try to write inside it, like we haven't created it, but if we try to write something inside it, it will not exist. So it will show us some exception, or it can show throw some error as well. So how to create this file? How we can create file?
File
We can
dot
write a
create.
condition: file
Dot
create new file. We have a function name as create new file. We can directly use it. And what we can do, file created. What it is showing us now. Now we will know why we need exceptions to handle these kinds of things. Now we are trying to create a new file. Correct. We are trying to create a new file. So what it will show? Unhandled exception java.io.io exception. If we go to this function, it is throwing us io exception here. Correct. What it is showing? It is showing throws io exception. So we have to handle it. Or we can define it in our, we can directly write it like this. We can handle add exception to method signature. We have added our throws io exception here. If we try to run this, what we will get? True. We got true here. Why? Because our file is created. There it is. Our file is created, student.txt. Correct. Our file is created here, student.txt. Or what we can say, we can handle our program like this as well. Else what we can say, our file is already exist. We can write it if our file is already exist. So we can handle it in our else case. We have written the if case. If our file is not created, it will create it and return us file created. If it is already created, it will show us already exists. So now what it will show? Already exist, because our file is created here. Correct. Is it clear how can we create a new file using Java program? Now we have created a file, but it is empty. Correct. For now this is empty, but how we can write inside it? How we can write something inside our Java file? We have a file writer we have FileWriter, which can be used to write our data inside our files. So we have to create an object for our FileWriter, and inside it we will pass our file, or we have to provide the file name or path for it. So what we will do, student.txt, correct? Or what we can do to make it easier, what we can do, we can write a string file name, we can write a file name, and here we can directly use file name. Why I am using file name like this? Why I have removed the string directly? Why I am avoiding to write string directly here? What it will benefit us if we write it like this, not directly writing the string here? So whenever we need to change this file name, what we have to do, we just have to change this variable, correct? We have to change this variable only. We doesn't have to change each and every line in our code. Whenever this we have to change this file name, what we can do, we can directly replace student.txt to our new file name, correct? So we have create a write, or we can say writer. Why writer? Because write is a function inside our file writer, so we will be using it, so it can be confusing. We can create it, but it will be confusing for us. So what will write? Writer dot write, and inside it what we can write? Inside it we can write anything. We can write it. If we try to run this program, but first what we have to do? We have created a writer here. We have initialized our writer here, correct? We have initialized our writer here. Now what we have to do? We have to close it, close the connection for it. What we have to do? We have to close the connection for writer. Why we have to close connection? Because when we have created a writer and started writing, it will create a connection for our input or output devices, correct? So it is trying to write in our memory. So it is directly writing in our memory, but whenever we doesn't close it, it will consume memory regularly. So if there are multiple writer opened in a same time, what will happen? It will consume large memory. So whenever our task is done, we will close it. Now if we try to run it, what we will got inside student.txt? What we are getting? Welcome to TalentxMind, correct? We can write it. So this is our write function. That's how we can write data inside our file. That's how we can write data inside our file, correct? Here what we are doing, creating new file. Here we have created our new file. Now what we have done, we have writing data inside our file. But what will happen if I try to write welcome to Java program? What will happen if we try to run this program? If we rerun this program, what will be the output? Inside student.txt, what we get to see? Will we get to see like welcome to TalentxMind, welcome to Java program both, or only welcome to TalentxMind, or we will got to know check their we will get only welcome to Java program. What we will get inside our student.txt?
Welcome to Java program.
Welcome to Java program. Correct? If we try to run this program, what we will get inside all the content which was already exist inside our student.txt was overwritten. Correct? Whenever we try to write a dot write, what it will do? It will overwrite each and every line or each and every content inside our student.txt. So how we can modify it? How we can append some data inside it? If we want to append some data, what we can do?
Use append writer. We have append.
No, we have to use write method only. But to append data, what we have to do? We will copy same code. We will copy same code and writer 2. We will define it like a writer 2, and here writer 2, here writer 2. But what we can do? We can turn it true.
Add new data.
So it will not overwrite data now. It will not overwrite data. What it will do? It will append the data. Correct? If I write it, what it will show us? Now if we check our student.txt, what it is showing? Welcome to Java Pro. I am learning full stack. So what it is doing? It is appending it. Now it is not overwriting our data. Why? Because we have provided append equal to true. It has some what it is doing. We have FileWriter with one parameter, and there we have two parameters. How we can write? We are providing two parameters inside it. If we check it, what we had? It is giving us FileWriter, string file name, and boolean append. Correct?
And
If we check this function, what we are getting? FileWriter with string file name only. Correct? What it is doing? It is just only taking only one parameter here. But for this function, it is taking two parameters. So what we are doing here? It is doing constructor overloading. Correct? It is doing constructor overloading because FileWriter is a class. FileWriter is a class, and these are its constructor. FileWriter string file name is a constructor here, and similarly FileWriter file name append is constructor. Correct? We can also have file. We can directly write file here as well. So instead of file, if we provide file, then what will happen? Will it work as similar? It will work like before or not?
no, sir.
We can check it. We have data. Correct? So it will work similarly like before. If we provide a file name here, or we can directly provide the file here, or we will remove it and change the data. Now check it. Welcome to TalentxMinds. I am learning full stack. Correct? It is working same. If we write it file, so in our FileWriter we can provide directly file name or file. So what is file here? We have created it using the same path, same name. Correct? So using the same name, what we have done? We have created an object of file, and we can directly provide it inside our FileWriter. So we have three kind of method we can use. directly providing the file, or we can provide file name. So we can overwrite our data or we can append our data. Correct? Now we have to read. Currently what we have to do, we are going to the student.txt to read the data. Correct? For to reading the file, what we are doing, we are directly going to student.txt. But what we can do, how to read this data, we can create a scanner. Now we are, before what we are doing, we are creating an scanner and taking input from user. Correct? We was taking input from user, but we can read data using a scanner as well. Using a scanner we can read our data as well. New scanner, and here we will provide the file. What we will provide in for to take the input, system.in. Correct? Now what we can do, we can directly provide the scanner file. And to check our data, what we can do, sc dot has next line. We have a function name as has next line. So what it will do, it will check if our file have next line or not. If it has next line, it will print us, or it will run this loop. How we can print it? Sc dot next line. So we were using sc dot next line to get the input before, but what we are doing, what we are using it, we are using it to print our output now. If we run this, what we will get? Welcome to Talentx Minds. I am learning full stack. Correct? We are getting the output of our student.txt file using a scanner class. So that's how we can read file using scanner class. That's how we can read our file using scanner class. So we have what we are doing right now. We are using FileWriter or scanner class to read our file, but we have something like as BufferedReader BufferedWriter. What are the BufferedReader and BufferedWriter? What are the BufferedReader and BufferedWriter? We have scanner class using a scanner.
Is using fast reading.
Using buffered program, what we can do, it can it read or write in the chunks, but in using normal writing methods or FileWriter methods, what it is do, it write character by character, so it can take long time. But using BufferedReader or BufferedWriter, we can reduce this time. Why? Because it send data into the chunks, so it can be fast. Now how we can use BufferedReader? We have to create a BufferedReader, and using BufferedReader we can create new BufferedReader. Inside it, what we have to do, we will be simply writing FileReader here. We can write FileReader here, and for this we can provide the file name and string line. And using this string line, what we can do, we have to write a while loop as well. Line equal to br dot read line, and we can also check, we have to check something as well, like line dot equal, what we are doing, we are assigning br dot read line inside our line. Correct? We are assigning read line, br dot read line inside our line, and we will check not equal to null. If our line is not null, we will continue our loop. So here what we can do, we can directly print this line here. And after this program, what we have to do? We have to close our function. We will close it. Now, if we remove it, we will get our data. We will get our data as it is, correct? So using buffer reader, we can read like this. How can we read like this? What we have to do? We have to provide the file reader instance inside our buffer reader first. First, we have to provide our file reader instance inside our buffer reader. Whenever we are using buffer, it is converting those character by reading into the chunks reading. So when they are reading like line as a character by character, whenever we use buffer reader, it will read it as a chunk. So what is chunk? It is a combination of, or we can say collection of some characters or some data. We can say it like this. So inside buffer reader, we are collecting some strings and it is reading directly from it. So it is, or something like, we have only one line, so it will directly print this line here. If we have multiple lines, so it will read it similarly. Now using buffer writer, how we can use buffer writer? We have buffer writer as well. So for it, what we can do? New buffer writer,
Last.
right? And inside it, we will write file writer. File writers as it is, and here we have to provide the file name. Correct? We have to provide the file name here. We are entering our file writer instance into the buffer reader. Then what we have to do? bw dot write Java, and we can also write new line as well. We can add new line, and then what we will do? Write and we will print it again, or we doesn't need it. Where it is? Now we will run this. What we got? Stream closed. Correct. Why we cannot use this br here? Because we have closed here. If we haven't closed it, we can br closed here, or we have to create a something like, we will close it and we will create a new buffer reader for it. br1 br1, we will close it again and we will run it. So what we will get? We will get Java Spring Boot. This Java and Spring Boot will be printed from here. So inside our student txt, first we have first we have this line we have created here. Welcome to TalentxMind. I am learning full stack, but we have rewrite it so it will work same. If we check, if we have a two method here, but append, we can have bw dot append inside our like say, we can say in our buffer writer we have append method. So if we append it here instead of writing, if we try to append it directly, So what it will do? We rewrite it. Okay. If we have to append it, we can directly provide the where we have to append it inside it. And if we have to delete this file, how we can delete it? If we have to delete this file, how we can delete it? We have similarly like file dot delete method. Here what we can do? We will just print out deleted. So our file will be deleted. If we run this, our file will be deleted from our program. So we don't have student.txt anymore. Why delete file is used? Because sometimes we have to create some local files to handle some program, but after the program finish, we have to remove it from our storage to free our storage. Correct? And there are some functions as well, like file dot get name. Also we have file dot get absolute file, or file get absolute path. We can get path from our file. We have file dot length, file dot can read, file dot can write. There can be multiple functions for the file information. We have multiple functions for the file information. Correct? So we can understand why we need file system inside our program.
Yes, sir.
That's all for today. So in the assignment, you can create a like bank transaction management system. We have already created, and in this we will be storing our data or transactions inside our transaction.txt, or we can say in our bank transaction system we can store transaction in transaction.txt file. We can store it inside our transaction.txt file. We can deposit amount, withdraw amount, store every transaction in file, read transaction history. We can read our transaction history. Before it, what we are doing, we are just doing simple transaction, but we are not storing anything. Correct? So using that file system, we can create a transaction.txt file, and inside it we can provide some transaction. We can search transaction, we can delete transaction file. So these are the things we can use inside our bank transaction. Correct?